We've got some
Hey,
fresh new
I'm
young
Luis.
talent
And
doing some
I'm
things that I know
Luis.
you haven't
And you're
heard
listening to the
before.
Content is Profit podcast. What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about local podcasting 101. Become a local celebrity, baby.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I see where your dream goes. You want to be a local celebrity or a worldwide celebrity?
I'm already a local celebrity.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah,
I
in our
step in
house.
the soccer field here, and everybody's like, "Yo, Fonzie, what up, dog?" I go into the coffee shop, and people are
Okay.
like, "You know what? Here's your free coffee." I was like, "Hey, I appreciate you. Much love, everyone."
It's okay. I know the story behind that. I'm not even going to throw you under the bus on that one. But anyways, guys, if you're enjoying this show, go ahead and make sure you hit the follow button and download all those episodes. Let us know if this is something that you like and anything that you want in the future for us to talk about.
That's right. I feel like I almost stabbed you with the pen right there.
I know.
Guys, if today's
Brotherly
episode
love.
helped you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review.
So we are back with another of our PodMax homies.
Oh, yeah, baby. And he's executing on one of the most exciting podcasting strategies we've heard in a while. He hosts Greetings from the Garden State podcast, in which he connects and highlights local businesses.
He's also doing a great job on all that. He's been featured in New Jersey Monthly Magazine, on the New Jersey Morning Show, and soon on the Your New Jersey television show. He's pretty much a superstar at this point.
I'm
Just
telling
saying.
you, becoming a local celebrity, baby. Let's go. Please welcome the king of New Jersey himself,
Mike.
What's up, guys?
What up, Mike?
There we go. People from the north. You say from the north?
From the north.
Some of us know how to dance. Mostly, it's like the fist pumps, like we do up here in Jersey. So, but
There
yeah,
we go.
it's so pumped to be with you guys. I was just thinking when you were talking about PodMax. So I've known you now for 2 years, and this is the first time I've ever been on your show. So I'm not saying anything,
Oh, wow.
but
I was like, well, is
not
he
great.
gonna bring that up?
well, yeah, I did
Mike,
right out of the
in-
gate. Let's
In good content is profit fashion, you gotta throw somebody under the bus.
That's true.
It. That's how
Yeah.
we do it, bro.
We're
we
all
were
about
not
that.
ready for you, Mike. We were not ready for you. What you have to bring, but dude, I'm stoked. We saw your presentation at Podfest this past weekend.
Mhm.
Just so you know, you were the one presentation that we went to. So
Yeah, literally.
I love that.
and it was great, right? Lately, we've been like very picky on like what we actually consume and learn from. And there's been a dream in the pipeline for a while of a local podcast. And who better to talk about that than you, my man? And you reignited that fire to the point that it's gonna be a reality this year. So
Love that.
thank you, man, for that. You know,
We're
inspiration.
gonna follow on the footsteps of the king of New Jersey.
So,
Yeah.
Michael, you know, we were on your show. I remember your background, right? It was all Jersey stuff. Like,
Yeah.
why a local show?
So the old show, yeah, that was like a green screen that I had, and then the thing broke, and now I have to record out here. But so I think when I had my old show, the Morning Spotlight, which you guys were both on, and that show was successful and did its thing and served its purpose for me at that time. But it just eventually kind of became like very like a generic interview show. So like the people that I was having on weren't necessarily like specific to any particular industry. Like it started out real estate. And then it kind of just eventually got different. You know, I had all sorts of people on that show, which was cool and a lot of fun. And then one night I was just like sitting home, you know, couple drinks in, and I was like, what if I just started like a niche down show? And I was trying to think of like what that topic would be. And I was like, well, I've lived here basically my whole life. I've, grew up here. This state has made me who I am today. And I was like, what if I did a show about New Jersey? And then it was just a matter of like figuring out how to actually like put that show together and like what it looks like. And if we're going to do interviews, who we're going to interview. And it's evolved a little bit because we launched this one back in October 2021. So like a year and a half or so, a little bit less than that, but still like well over a year.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome, especially like the last few months where I've seen it really kind of like really pick up. Like it was always growing and it grew faster than the Morning Spotlight did. But it's just been so fun. Just like, I'm sure we're going to get into it, like the way that I record and who I record with and all that kind of stuff. It's been awesome.
Dude, that is fantastic. I'm curious on, you say you had your previous show. When was it that you pretty much were like, you know what, I think I need to change something in here? Or just was it, or it was just a matter of, I don't really want to keep going with this show. Let me try something new. Or were you searching for something, right? Maybe specific numbers within the show that you felt stagnant and then you decided to try something new? I'm curious because a lot of
Yeah.
people might be struggling with, being consistent for a long period of time with something that might not give them the results that they wanted. And now they might be questioning themselves, should I change or not? And obviously you hear the message, it's like, hey, you gotta be consistent, you gotta kind of like stand the test of time.
Yeah.
But there might be actually a better option out there for them to pivot a little bit.
Yeah. So the morning spotlight I did for almost 2 years and posted, I think, like 140 episodes. So that was like
Wow.
a lot of content, a lot of time, a lot of, energy
Yeah.
on my end to do that. And it was my baby. It was like the first podcast I
Mhm.
ever started. So to kill it is like, it's like ripping my heart out. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like you mentioned, I had seen my numbers start to kind of plateau a little bit. And I mean, for people that do podcasts, like if you're just kind of having anybody on, like what is the reason why people come to like hear that? That's a hard show to kind of run.
Yeah.
And so the morning spotlight stopped in April 2022. So from October 2021 to April 2022, I was doing both shows at the same time. And it was
Wow.
started to see the Greetings from the Garden State podcast like start to increase in popularity, and out of the gate it was like way more popular than what the morning spotlight ever did. And I
Hmm.
was like, okay, this is interesting. So then I kept going with both of them, but then the
Yeah.
old show was just taking up too much of my time and my energy to really like and I knew it was never going to make money. It was never going to be like a monetizable show because it couldn't get to that point, because who's going to sponsor that show when they don't know what the audience looks like? And
Yeah.
early on, I was able to monetize Greetings from the Garden State a little bit, not a ton. But really, before we even launched an episode, I had a couple sponsors like already in the bank, because they knew that the people that were going to
Yeah.
listen to that show were people in
Local.
New Jersey. So to
Yeah.
me, like I was just going to put my time and effort um, into this show. And, it sucks that the first show had to, bite the bullet, but it is what it is. Like, it's tough, but it definitely has worked out really well to where we are today.
Yeah, I think there's a good lesson in there, which is maybe don't just jump ship immediately, but test. And we say with content as well,
Yeah.
test, and then invest, right? So you were okay, I'm gonna do both at the same time. And once you saw one picking up steam, you're like, okay, well, it's time to move on and pivot into this one. But I'm guessing that if that one wouldn't have, picked up any steam, any momentum, you probably would have stayed with the Osho, or maybe keep doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good lesson there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think maybe like I would have done, I either would have gone with this new show for a little bit and seen like what those first like 6 or so months were gonna like what was gonna happen those first 6 or so months. But
Yeah.
what I did was in April of 2022, so around the same time where I decided to stop doing the morning spotlight, I ran an in-person event at a brewery here in the town that I live in,
Yeah.
and I had like 75 people show up. And I was like, and
Wow.
we were only 6 months in, and the show was popular, but not nearly where it is today, like almost a year later.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is something that can be good for me, because, like, you guys do a show and other podcasters do shows. And I think I mentioned this on stage down at Podfest, like the ability to go and see your audience, like literally see them, shake their hand, like
Yes.
talk to them
Mhm.
face to face, is something that I have an advantage of over most podcasts. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
And so like that was like a key indicator that I was onto something that
That's so
was,
cool.
going to be either profitable or something that was really going to start to pick up steam as I progressed with that. And then it just made the decision pretty easy, because, most of my audience on the morning spotlight were other podcasters. They were, just other people that like, I think I had built up like a decent reputation for myself in that world back
Yeah.
then. And, like maybe just the way that I handle an interview or the way I run a show is something that people can learn from. But ultimately, like the people that listen, I want them to be interested in like the content, like who we're
Yeah.
talking to and why that's
Yeah.
important to them. So that was a big thing. And, so all those things kind of coming together at that point, we're just like, this is the sign, so like you gotta follow it.
Yeah. I want to highlight a couple of things, right? That you said. First off, for a lot of people out there, that first platform that you might launch, or the first type of content that you might be able to produce for companies or individual creators even, right? that might not be the final thing that you're gonna do, right? Like it will evolve. Like as you do this, right, it will continue to evolve. I mean, our show is 3 years now, but it has evolved quite a bit on the back end, or who do we invite, like how do we use it for, like how do we do different things. And of course that's gonna do. And funny story for those OGs that remember, when we first launched Contents Profit, we would record Contents Profit at 5, and then at 6 we'll record a Spanish podcast called the Mass Live Show.
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
Oh boy. And it might come back at some point, but it was horrible. Our Hispanic personalities where the world was not ready for that, but but that was great because we also, I mean, it wasn't a full year, but we did gather some feedback, and the Contents Profit grabbed traction very, very quickly, and we're like, perfect, that's the focus, right? We're gonna go there. Also, I want to highlight the fact that you decided, okay, instead of go the massive audience, right, we're going to talk to everybody, which everybody's like, I always wanted the attention of everybody. We now know that that's impossible, right? You decided and you committed to your community, the things that you love, the topics that you that you love, the relationships, the people that you know that are right next to you, and that creates an amazing connection. Like we saw all your pictures and your stuff in the meetup, and we're like, wow, how many marketers, how many people out there in the business world would love an event in a local brewery with 100 people that listen and consume and interact with your content, right? How many people would love to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive win, and the fact that you were able to create that platform and create that space for them is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's just been
nice.
so cool. Yeah, it's so kind. It makes my heart feel good.
Love emoji, love emoji, love emoji.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the thing. It's just like the fact that I was able to see those people and take the local businesses and other people that I've had on the show, and they were involved in that as well. So like they donated raffle prizes for me to use. Like the brewery donated the space for me to use. People donated like restaurants and stuff that I had on, donated food. And so like we had, probably 20 raffle prizes. We had like 7 places send food. The brewery's, a really good space, like big enough to fit everybody, and everybody had a blast. And then we did it again back in October of this past year for our 1-year anniversary. We got like 110 people to show up to that. Yeah. So it's just like doing things like that is just, it's so cool to then like take your stuff, your content and what you're doing. And then, from like what you guys do, I think also is interesting too, because then you could do something like that and have, like a local business type of contingency in Jacksonville that supports you guys because of what you do. And then like they get exposure too when you're in these environments, but not only just on the show, but if you do run something in person, like an event like that, now all of a sudden, like people that may never have heard of this, pizza place, now they know it, and they're like, they meet the owner because he's right there, and then you just like talk to him and figure out his story, and then check him out and try it and see if that's something that you want to continue doing. So there's a lot of opportunities there for sure.
I mean, just yesterday we were in this coffee shop and this lady comes in and FONZI is like, man, that's my cooking teacher. I'm like, do you have a cooking teacher, man? Like, why don't you cook every time? And like,
I clarify, I do not have a cooking teacher, although I think it would be really, really cool. But my girlfriend gave me for my birthday a cooking class. I think it's a present a little bit more for her than for me. If I'm being honest, she loves cooking. And it's this like Italian lady, and she literally popped up at the coffee shop we were yesterday.
But all of a sudden we started talking to Diana, right? And we're like, hey, do you know these owners of this Italian restaurant that just opened where we live? And she said, well, it's a little far, but I know of them, right? And then immediately you make that connection, right? And then guess what? They're going to collaborate in some way. Like she puts events, like they could bring it, and it just brings that local aspect. And I come from the small business world, right? Like I ran fitness studios, so I understand how hard or how challenging can it be for a business owner that is also an operator, right, to get their message out. And I think this is why I feel this, like your project, so deeply, and I love it so much, because that was the issue with all these businesses. They were so in it that, somebody to come from the outside and come to their space, and we're going to talk about your production in a second, but to come to their space and share their story there and show, right, and then give them that exposure, I think is so massive. You're solving so many problems for that business owner. And the rapport, we talked every single day in this podcast about the relationships that you build, the rapport that you're building and the value that you're building to them, and then connecting them with other people, I think is invaluable. And why not? Like, this is such a big opportunity for companies to do good. Like, they could go in and this is influencer marketing. on steroids, right?
Yeah.
They could potentially create or sponsor or do a show like this, and they're gonna do so good to the city
Yeah.
to be able to grow it. So man, like you're paving the road on this, and I mean you can notice like how excited I am, and
I can tell.
we'll share
Yeah, I love it.
we'll share why the fire was ignited in a second.
So,
But
Yeah.
Mike, I'm pretty curious. All right. So people right now, they're excited. They're like, you know what? Actually, I think I can do something in my community. People love community. They get being involved. And I feel with podcasting, yes, you have big communities, like Podfest. We used to have obviously Podmax, but it's a little bit different because it's online. Everybody's, everywhere. But now they have the opportunity to create a local community and they're pumped up.
Yeah.
What would be some of the next steps and challenges that they can expect if they are, trying to launch a local podcast, right? Like, what were some of those early moments for you that maybe, it was getting in front of businesses, maybe getting the time from them to, share their message? Like, how do you present the value for them as well? Like, hey, look, like, I'm gonna go to a brewery and it's not just, hey, look, I want a few free beers in here. They might be thinking that like, oh, this guy wants to do something because maybe they just want to do some free exchange.
Yeah.
But how do you present that value of your platform for them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think I lucked out early on because the first 3 episodes that I dropped were two relatively popular places in the state, and then another guy that played football at Rutgers and then won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. So he had like a story to share about his experiences in the NFL and playing with the Patriots and winning a ring.
Nice.
And he loved like showing off the ring too, which was well. So I think I did have a little bit of a leg up, but obviously I needed to present value to them out of the gate. So I think the way that I positioned it was, like you're making it as easy as you possibly can on that business owner. And that's the way that I like to try to do it. And this may not work for everybody because it does take up a lot of time and it does take up a lot of like, there is a lot of logistics involved. So like like me recording in my apartment right now is like weird for me. Like I don't do that. Like I don't have a studio. I don't do anything like that. And I don't do them virtual. I literally like pack up all my stuff in, you can see it. It's over here. It's this box right here. And
Awesome.
down on the floor. And so I put all my mics, my recorder, my camera, anything else that I may need for that particular episode. I put them in that box, my laptop, whatever. And I drive to wherever it is that I'm going and I sit down with them. I'm like, just give me an hour. Like, that's all I need. Well, I'll come when you're closed. I'll come whenever. Like I have a little bit of a flexible schedule when it comes to like my full-time job. So that does help. And has helped so far, but I do try to schedule them in case anybody on there is watching. I do try to schedule them outside of work hours, of course. But I think like one of the things that's really cool is that, they can do that. Like they can give you an hour of their time and they appreciate the fact that you're making it easy on them by just coming to them, making it, whatever. And it's to them, it's free marketing, like it's an hour or 45 minutes. If the episode lasts 45 minutes, it's free marketing for them. So then generally they're pretty open to doing that. Early on, I did need to have on like certain businesses that maybe like today I wouldn't necessarily have on, or do some episodes that like, just like I just needed episodes to kind of show that I had like some street cred, for lack of a better phrase, and show that I like what I was doing was working. And then once I started doing that, like within the first like 10 or so episodes, like we were cooking, like we were doing really well. And but the one thing that you did say as far as like a challenge is knowing that you're not gonna get like big numbers. Like it's you definitely can if you're doing like, I know that there's other shows that are somewhat local and they do really well, but your geographical footprint goes from being like the globe where there's 7 billion people that live here, and then you whittle it down to like the United States, and then you whittle it down to New Jersey. And granted, there's a lot of people that live here, but now your pool is a lot smaller. Not all of them listen to podcasts, not, all that kind of stuff. There's all different reasons why your audience is going to be whittled down, which are obvious. So when you see those numbers, like I knew that if, let's just take round numbers, if I knew the Morning Spotlight was getting like 100 downloads an episode, just audio, right? And this show was getting 200, or let's just say 100 again. Like, so if they're both getting 100, there's a big difference in the what those 100 looks like. I know 95% of the 100 for this show live here in the state. And then I know that I don't even know where most of them live. I mean, I do, but they're all spread out all over the place. So it makes it harder to kind of connect with an audience like that. And
Yeah.
so, I think like that's a challenge too, because people do, when you do start a show, like one of the things that you want to know is like, are people hearing what I'm saying? Like, so you're not just
Yep.
shouting into a vacuum and saying nothing,
Yeah. Yeah.
like to nobody. And so to like see those numbers and know where they are and then eventually be able to connect with them, that's kind of how I got over that hump. And then, like I said, now the growth that I've seen has been so much more than the morning spotlight
Yeah.
now. So it's irrelevant at that point.
I mean,
I like that. Sorry, real comment real quick. And I think that would also make it way easier for you to eventually present sponsorship packages, right?
Yeah.
Try to sell the sponsorships. It's like, look, I know 95% of the people that listen to the local podcast are in New Jersey, right? So like you can probably pitch those sponsorships way easier than if you have a broader audience and you're like, 5% are in Nepal, the other 2% might be in New Zealand, like all over the place. So exactly, like Jacksonville. Like who would go there, right? Who would go to Jacksonville?
Who would ever go
there? But I'm repping the local Jumbo Shrimps. Okay, come on, the minor league. Let's go.
After they listen to the local podcast in Jacksonville, everybody's gonna want to come to Jacksonville. But yeah, I'm sure that just makes it way more easier to pitch for this type of sponsorships as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like, listen, I'm not making life-changing money, and I still have a full-time job. But it's been nice to make something and be able to fuel this project that I've been doing, because I don't necessarily, I mean, like I'm working on it right now, but I don't necessarily have like a service that I sell. You know what I mean? Outside of like my full-time job, which is separate from this, but like I don't have like, I have an LLC and I do some like podcasting services for some people, but it's not like a big driver of income for me. So now it's a matter of trying to make money directly from the show, and I'm trying to get creative with how I do that. But it's easy to go up to someone that serves a community that may not be a great fit for like the show itself. Maybe they don't have a story. Maybe their business is not a place people are going to go to, but they do need to connect with people that live here in the state. So why not market with me, because they know that my audience is engaged, looking at socials. And I also try to make sure that I include that too, because that's a big, Instagram is like a huge thing for me right now. So doing the show with the website, like trying to give them a lot of opportunities to be seen by people that are in my audience is important to me too. And then just being able to present that value and knowing that like most people that are sponsoring with me aren't familiar with like a CPM type model, which if people are podcasters, they know kind of what that is. If I did that, I would make like $25 a month. Like, I would do nothing, but now like I'm able to make like, chunks of money like over the course of a time, but it's just a matter of keeping it consistent and all that kind of stuff. Like that's the one thing that I'm kind of working through right now. But it definitely makes it easier.
You have a way more valuable audience. You remember one episode we did like a little segment of brainstorm business?
Okay.
I have a segment like that.
Before you brainstorm business section, can I talk?
Yes, you can talk. I'm just putting a little tab so we don't forget, you mentioned that you're working on, kind of like how to monetize this thing on the back end besides sponsorships. So I'm just putting a little bookmark so we remember, because I think this idea is fire.
It's so fire. Mike and us three will have to jump on a call, because like there's so many ideas, and I think you'll be able to like crush it with this. But I remember the initial days. I mean, what a great way. First off, if you have like an agency, right, or a service-based business, this is like a no-brainer, right? We talk about this on the show. Like for us, obviously, it's a model. Is a little bit, we're online, we're kind of everywhere in a sense. But if you're a local agency, you're just starting out, if you're a college kid, like this is a great way to get out there. And I remember our first days, we literally would show up to a local business with a camera, right, or with our phone, and it was like, hey, do you want us to create some content for you? And people are like, well, what are you going to create? Like, it was such a hard sell in a sense. And we're like, okay, let's take some pictures and we'll do that and we'll bring it back, or some videos. And eventually that was really what started the business like 7 years ago, right? But then on top of that, you create a platform like the one that you've created in your local town, right? You connect with all the business owners. Maybe they don't need the service, but somebody else does, right? And then you continue to work on those relationships. Be like, hey, this is what I do. After your interview, you created that content. So you're building authority, not only for yourself, but for your company, but also for that business. So that's a ton of value. And then you can use that content to circle back into whatever service, right, that you offer. And I think is is massive. And we've seen it, in the office space that we had before. You had these lawyers that they will bring people on, but normally people, I love your model because you go to them. Normally people have like their studio and their thing and they're all set up, and that stops a lot of people from like actually doing this thing.
And you have like adventures with them too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and
They're great.
you're there with them, and I think Discovery Channel needs to give you a show. Just
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put that in the universe for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely doing it on the road and like going into places has been really cool. And then having, like, I think that they appreciate it like way more. And then because you're also highlighting like their space, like you said, and then also just the fact that like, like I think that if someone did something like this in like, I mean, take Jacksonville, take like a city, or I mean, it doesn't have to be like a major city. Like I do the whole state of New Jersey just because it's pretty small. Like I get top to bottom in like 3 hours if need be, like if there's no traffic. But there's always traffic.
7 hour road trip.
Yeah. But like, like if you did this, let's say in Jacksonville, like you would own that city. Like everyone would know who you are. You can go anywhere you want. Like you can
The Kings of Jacksonville.
The Kings of
Sounds
Jacksonville.
Good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That's
It's
what
not bad.
FONZI wants to.
Not bad. But I just think that it's like there's so many. I mean, granted, like I can never now move out of New Jersey. Like I have to live here for the rest of my life because then it would be like the ultimate betrayal if I do ever leave. But I do think that it's something where like I've positioned myself as someone that like I can go and like see people like then they're like, oh hey, like I love the episode this week. Like that stuff's so cool. So like if you're really involved with your community, there's like a lot of ways to kind of, like you were saying, make the most of that for everybody. Like, rising tides raise all boats. So, that's what we're trying to do.
There's a conversation often, like we get every time we go and guest on a different show, people are like, so what's the content that creates profit? I'm like, okay, well, define profit for you, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously in the business sense, so it comes with the money side, but also we talked this macaroons, but it's also we talk a lot about the intrinsic way, like what's the intrinsic profit, right? Like, are you creating this for you as well, right? Because if it's not for you, it's going to be really challenging to keep this up for a long period of time, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I promise you, every single creator that's out there that has been publishing for a long time that has a success is because they love creating what they create. They love the process, right? So as a business, you also have to figure that one out. Forget the numbers for a while, right? Like, what is the thing? And with the local company that we worked with, they're a real estate company. They started with like this like set studio type of deal interviews, right? And then they enjoyed the conversation so much that they didn't care about the quality, and they built a studio like inside of the thing, but it was a webcam, right? It wasn't these crazy things, but they just enjoy that process of bringing their community together and connecting and all this stuff, right? And that's their way to show that, right? So as a company, as a business, and if you're thinking about this, or if you're already doing it, revisit that. Like, is this something that you actually enjoy doing? Whoever's in charge of the project needs to enjoy the process and create from that intrinsic place first. How can we be of service to our audience, to the people that come to our platform? And then it's a no-brainer. Like, that's the success equation, right? So then profit becomes many other things, not just the money that can come from that platform.
Right. 100%. Definitely agree.
Is it time to go back to the bookmark?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go back to the bookmark. If you can help me make some more money, I'm down.
Let's go. We don't have a sound for this, but imagine we have a segment here. Brainstorm.
Of course we do.
What is it called? The brainstorm money time. I don't know. Something like that. All right. Brand new segment delivered to you by the BIZBROS. All right. So I got 2 ideas. You probably thought about these ones already.
All right.
But if you have, let me know.
I'm going to write them down.
All right. Number 1 is, I mean, you can sell your show to one of the news networks around town.
That's true.
Get them to give you an advance, kind of like a book deal. Say, hey, look, we're gonna pay you $100,000 a year, and literally your job is to go business by business, highlighting them, right? And then they get to profit off the ads that they sell in their network. So that's kind of basic. I feel like you probably thought about that one.
I dig
but
that. It's a good
here's
one.
the second one, which I think is the hashtag juicy one. And is more of on the marketing side of things, right? Like, you're building so many connections with these businesses that you can potentially put together marketing campaigns, right? Based on collaboration between businesses. And I'm going to explain you why. We have a story about this, but you can probably have either a upfront, right? Plus revenue share, or if they don't feel much, very confident, Or at first, if you want to start this way, you can just do revenue share, right? So like performance based.
Mhm.
So this is what we're talking about. When we started BIZBROS, let's say, what was that, like 6 years ago, something like that.
7.
One of the gigs that we did was we were the anti-marketing agency. So pretty much we would show up to people's businesses and be like, hey, tell me about your marketing agency. Do you like them? They're like, no.
No one's happy with their
And we're
marketing.
like, yes. You know, what are they doing for you? They're like, they're doing X, Y, and Z. And we're like, we can do it better.
Yeah.
Literally, that was our whole pitch. So one of the things that we did was we grabbed a few businesses from the local community. We were working with this nutritionist. And we're like, okay, how do we grow your email list pretty fast and at the same time make you more money? Right? Oh, actually, it was the nutritionist, and we had kind of like a wellness center. So there were two of them involved.
Yeah,
So-
but there were two different. We did it twice. So with the nutritionist was with the course.
All right, cool.
I'll tell the other one.
No. I'll just go with the wellness center then. All right, so we grabbed the wellness center. We're like, okay, what are some businesses around here, the community, that kind of like complement your business, but they're not necessarily direct competitors to you.
Yeah.
And then we went and hit them all up, and we're like, hey guys, we're gonna do a massive giveaway, like I don't know, 6 to 10K in prices, so we can get a whole bunch of people signing up, right?
We're like, where can you donate? And they're like, well, we can donate like 2 things of food. And we're like, no, think bigger.
Yeah,
no,
we're
think
like
bigger.
give them
No,
a
think
free year
bigger.
of food, like whatever it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we made this massive giveaway, and then we leverage everybody's email list. We build all the emails, all the cadence. But then for the wellness studio, the goal was get people in the studio.
Yeah.
So for them, we develop an offer. Say, hey, you participated in this. And then, for the people that didn't win, it's like, hey, we're sorry that you didn't win the main prize of the raffle, of the giveaway, but we want you to win. So here is a free visit to the wellness center for it was like a sauna visit. I think it was like a free 20-minute or 15-minute like sauna session, right?
Yeah.
And then guess what? We had like over 2,000 emails in just that campaign. Again, super localized. People might be like, oh, but 2,000 emails is not that much. Yeah,
Right.
get yourself
But
in
they're
front
all
of
in
a
the
room
same
with
place.
2,000 people,
Yeah.
right? Interested
Yep.
in the whole wellness, environment, and then send all 2,000 of them an invite to go to your sauna for free. And after that, we had an upsell that would sell them on the membership, right? And they had, I think it was over 300 booked appointments.
Wow.
After that campaign.
The manager called me like, I think there's a glitch in the Google Sheet that you guys are populating the name. We're like, no, this is actually people that want to come to your business, which is great. And they were like, oh my gosh, like this is actually a thing. And I remember, here's fun feedback for like the local businesses that we will share this story with, be like, because we don't do that as a service anymore. And we're like, go do this. Like, here's the roadmap, right?
Yeah. Right.
This is great. You want emails? You want cheap leads? Here you go. And they'll be like, 2,000 emails, and they like do it. And then we went to internet marketers event, and we shared the same campaign, and every single person were like, what, 2,000 emails?
It's because they understand
for free the value
effort.
of that number, of that person that goes into the business,
and understand that effort. It's like when you talk about video editing, some people that only consume video, they're like, oh cool, like it's a video. But you talk about it with an editor, and they're like, dude, that thing took like 20 hours to make. Probably they value it a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
But back to the strategy, I think you have such an edge because now you have all the relationships. Like you have so many businesses, and you can potentially pair them in pods for what they do, right? So a brewery can maybe pair with a specific restaurant, and then you can pair them with, I don't know, probably like a weight loss thing, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
But
right.
you can pair them with something in there and do like a massive giveaway and then drive traffic in there. So obviously how you structure those deals will be up to you. But I think that is a decent strategy, to kind of like profit of this on the back end.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good idea. I mean, I think one of the things that I like about you guys and the way that I think that I have operated, especially over the course of the lifespan of this particular show, is that like I just do things like different. Like it's not like this, like me in a studio or like on a Zoom or whatever, like talking into the mic like this and getting really,
I love that.
like normal kind of like scripted out questions or whatever. Like we don't script anything. They're all just coming off the top of my head. And I love the idea of just like changing the way that like, I look at the way that people tell me how podcasts should be like monetized. Like I've pitched sponsors before that are familiar with how sponsorships work. And they're like, oh no, you have to do a CPM model. Like that's how people monetize. I'm like, nope, I don't do that. So if you're not interested, that's cool. But like that's not how I do it. But yeah, I mean, I love that. So I jotted down notes as you were talking.
Let's go. Well, just
I can also watch this back, of course.
It's okay.
For sure.
You don't need to be nice with Fonzi. You can tell him like, screw it.
Well, I feel bad because first off, I interrupted a sales call that Fonzi was on down at Podfest, so I felt really bad. Like I didn't realize you were on the phone, and I just like ran up to you. I was like, "Oh shit, Fonzi! Like, what's up?" And like you were like, oh. And I was like, oh, "Damn it!"
You broke the whole flow, man.
Yeah, and then like he told me to wear a Hawaiian shirt, and I had it over here. But that's just a callback to an old episode that you guys did with me. But he doesn't even show up. Like, what is even on your shirt? You got nothing.
I know. It's not Hawaii. It's not a Hawaiian shirt.
It's like a podcast.
It's actually it's like for those watching. It's actually a Rodecaster Pro, which is our favorite tool.
It's a setup. It's the
mic, our mic, then a laptop that says "Contents Profit," and then money. It's our setup.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
there you go.
Yeah. we need like stacks of bills here on the desk.
You need one of those like money guns. You know those money guns?
We've actually talked about it. We talked, dude, like literally when somebody drops a golden boulder here on the podcast, and if you're new and you're asking yourself what is a golden boulder, it's like a golden nugget, just way bigger. We're literally gonna be like, just like come out with the money guns.
Yeah, you can have like your faces printed on them and stuff. Like I think that's great,
dude. And then we just take them to events, bro. When Mike is done talking at the show, we just run next to him and say, "Yeah, let's go."
There you go. All right, Mike, dude, this has been, well, at least on our side, amazing conversation. I hope you enjoyed it too.
So much fun.
I love it. Yeah.
But to wrap up the show, right? Like, two questions, right? What is an action point for somebody that's, trying to figure out this publishing thing, right? They want to make sure that is a good, healthy part of their business. What is something that they can do today to move that ball forward?
Doing like kind of like what I do.
It can be, specifically. I mean, I think your format and the way that you run the show and your category in this sense has so much potential.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So much.
Yeah, I think like you need to go into it with like, I'm not a big planner. I don't really plan a lot of things. But this one, I did go into it with like a clear kind of understanding of what I wanted these episodes to look like and the types of people that I wanted to have on the show. And they've, it's evolved, like I mentioned earlier, but it hasn't evolved a ton. Really the only evolution has just been like the quality of the content because I bought a camera and like I got better at doing like showing up to a random place with like a lot of noise and a lot of things happening. I just got better with dealing with those types of situations. So, I do think that you need to kind of go in there with some type of plan and then know that like, if you do it the way that I do it, you need to plan it out quite a bit because it's not like you could just jump on a Zoom call real quick and record an episode like we're doing right now. Like you need to schedule your day around driving an hour and a half to go interview somebody. So like having that type of plan and knowing kind of where you see the content going and like why that's valuable to someone, I think is really important. Like for me, it's about sharing stories of people that, do things here in the state that like own local businesses or run nonprofits or whatever. So like they have things that like they need to get across and me helping them do that, like providing them a platform to do that is important. But you just need to make sure that you're having, the right people on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Again, I'm going to say this out loud. Whoever people are going to listen to this, if you're listening to this, I'm talking to you, I'm going to be like, oh, that sounds amazing. Right. And if you're thinking about it, you're really like, oh man, but the driving on the thing. And again, think about your local town. Think about your city. You can start small, right? If you have a service based, go do it. Go to them. It's gonna be such a better platform that way. And here's my prediction: not a lot of people are gonna do it, but the ones who do, they're gonna freaking crush it. And are gonna dominate that city. Go do it. Follow Mike. We're gonna leave all the handles right below. So send him a message if you want to talk to him. And then last question, Mike, where will you be if you did not publish?
I wouldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't be on the show with you guys. Is that what
clearly the pinnacle of your career?
Yeah. I mean, I've told you before, like January has been the peak. Like this is as popular as the show has ever been right now. and
Amazing.
to kind of keep riding that wave with Content is Profit Live with the BizBros. I mean, I'm a little bit worried because where can I go from here? Can I keep going up? I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, you could do a live show in the Super Bowl, right? Like
That's
they'll
true.
fly you out there and you know, talk to the players and so.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but they're not from Jersey, so we don't really. Actually, there are a couple guys from Jersey in there. There's a Rutgers player that plays for the Chiefs, but whatever.
Dude,
we're talking about soccer, right? The Super Bowl soccer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mike, you and me have to talk football. I became a big fan after the Jags won against the Chargers.
Nice.
You know, that's it.
He's watched 2 games.
I became a fan. That's all I needed.
Well, it's 2 more games than you've watched, Fonz.
That is true. That is true.
Mike, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for coming to the show. Wish you the best. I mean, you have 2 brothers here, man.
Oh yeah.
And just know that there's gonna be some news coming. We're diving into this local platform. Super excited. Thanks to you. So
the next episode is gonna be called The Meeting of Kings.
Meeting of Kings.
You know, we're all gonna have a king status. You know, you're the king of New Jersey, we're king of Jacksonville.
That's right.
Well, I'm the king. My brother might be like.
You can be the queen.
Kind of, you know, he's working his way up there.
You can be the queen.
Nah, bro, I'm good. I think I like the king title a little bit better.
Guys, anything else that you want to add, Mike, before we head out?
No, I just appreciate you guys having me on. It was like so good to see you again, you know, last weekend, whatever it was at this point. But yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And just, you know, if you ever need anything for help down in Jacksonville, you know, what does our buddy Pablo say? He's a kingmaker. I'll help make you the kings of Jacksonville.
Let's go. Yes, you're going to be receiving a couple calls. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Love that.
Yeah, Fonzie, anything else?
No, dude, Mike, thank you so much for embracing the Content is Profit energy, dude. It was absolutely amazing having you here. Dude, you share a lot of value, so can't wait to see what's next for you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Guys, with that said, thank you so much for tuning to the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is Ryan. If Mike here help you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. And don't forget to join the training. Let's go.
Let's go.